Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio. We are brought to you by championnews.net. Our founder, Jack Roser, and myself, Carol Parisi, have Mr. Rick Pere with us. And before the break, Rick and Jack, we were talking about these tenets of Islam. And what are these things? What is all this about? And
well, there are tenets, actual tenets and pillars of Islam that Muslims practice. But under radical fundamentalist Islam, it goes further into how people are converted, who is to be converted. If they don't convert to Islam, who can be killed, how they can be killed, yes, and how you actually treat non-believers, or as they call non-believers, kuffars.
This is all ritual and required.
It is all ritual. It is all spelled out.
Part of radical Islam, though. This is not your peace-loving Muslim neighbor that's practicing these things. This is this 15% element of radical Islam.
Like I said, most Muslims are absolutely peace-loving and not involved in this at all, but they don't speak out. And the reason they don't speak out is because they're not only in fear of their lives, but they're in fear of their families' lives.
Do they know this?
Yes, they do.
They are aware of this?
Oh, very much aware. There are 20 prohibitions against Muslims under Islam. Anybody who violates those 20 precepts, prohibitions, are in great danger. And I've lost a couple of very close friends over in Afghanistan at the hands of the Taliban, because not only can you not be associated with a non-believer, you cannot approve of anything that a non-believer does. But there's 20 prohibitions. It's very, very long and involved.
Now, you were saying Islam radical Islam is of war. They're perpetrating war. But you were talking about
the basis is in war against non-believers and against people who will not convert.
But there was something that you were saying during the break. It goes deeper than the tenets.
Yes, much deeper. It goes into two things that it's far too involved to get involved with here, but it goes into something called the just principles of war and proportionality.
Those were the two things, yes.
And that's how war is carried out under the auspices of Islam. And what people don't understand is that all these separate attacks that occur in the world are not separate attacks. They're not separate wars. They're separate fronts in the war against the West. American and the mass media don't understand that. These are not separate attacks. What has been occurring are separate fronts in the war carried on by Islam, radical Islam, against the West. All governments all over the world are fighting this right now.
How could 15% of a population win this? Most people want to be free. They don't want war. They want peace.
In Iraq, one of my co-workers was an interviewer. He was an interrogator. And in Iraq, he had the opportunity to interrogate and to interview a radical fundamentalist member of Al-Qaeda who had been caught not only with IEDs, but who had been involved in attacks. And the Muslim radical told my co-worker, he said, "I'll be here for 2 years." He said, "You Americans will go home." He said, "In that 2 years, I will have converted 20 fellow members of Islam into our fold." He said, "And we just wait until you're gone." He said, "We will win because we have one thing Americans do not have and that the West does not have."
That's a what?
We have one thing that the West does not have.
Yeah.
Patience. We will simply wait you out.
So
and that is why they believe they can win.
How are they converting people? I wouldn't want to be part of a religion that oppresses me, makes me wear a burqa, makes me subjected to my husband's every whim.
Women in the current government in Afghanistan under the Taliban were forced to wear burqas. If you had eyeglasses and they saw the eyeglass imprint underneath your burqas, they were ripped off your face. The Taliban could come in your home and take your television and throw it out your window. They would walk up to men who did not have a beard, as radical Muslims and true believers are supposed to have, and they would ask them, "Why don't you have a beard?" And if the individual could not give them an adequate explanation, they were executed on the spot. They would walk up to people and actually ask them for specific phrases and specific verses out of the Quran, and people would be executed on the spot.
Well, another aspect, and I know you just came back from Sierra Leone, Rick, is Islam in Africa is state sponsored by Iran, and they come with lots.
It's not just a state sponsored in Africa. Okay, right now the elements of operations are changing. Okay, it's no longer state run. Now we have individuals, and that's where our problem is in the United States and the Western world.
But they're financed.
They're financed. But the problem is that now the international drug market and drug trade is financing Al Qaeda. The Zeta drug cartel, the Sinaloa drug cartel, the MS-13 international drug gang is financing Al Qaeda right now. Gun running is financing Al Qaeda. They have training camps in South America that our Office of Homeland Security knows about. We believe there are training camps here in the United States, but they can't find them. They know where the training camps are in South America, and they're trying to eradicate them right now. But with this current attitude and atmosphere we have in the United States, it's not going to happen.
Now, why would the drug cartels want to endorse and fund terrorism?